Coming up, national security chiefs from around the region here in the capital for an important conference on public safety. Our cameras are there to meet U.S. Homeland Security Chief Janet Napolitano as she arrives. Could one of the busiest travel seasons be marred by industrial action? The BPSU says yes. And DNA leader Brand McCartney says the government's volunteer program leaves much to be desired. It's all straight ahead, Wednesday, November 9th on the Bahamas Tonight, starting right now.
Covering the islands of the Bahamas, ZNS Network presents The Bahamas Tonight.
A warm evening to all of you. This is the Bahamas Tonight National Report. I'm Shanique Miller. National security ministers from around the region and U.S. Homeland Security will come together tomorrow for a high-level meeting meant to strengthen the security of the region. Delegates from throughout the Caribbean, as well as the United States Secretary of Homeland Security, are in the capital for the second Caribbean Basin Security Initiative to be held at the Atlantis Resort. Tonight, Giovanni Stewart looks at what the implications are for the Bahamas.
The Caribbean Basin Security Initiative is an effort launched by U.S. President Barack Obama to create closer links between the United States and its Caribbean neighbors with the aim of sharing resources and addressing a broad range of security concerns. Permanent Secretary at the Ministry of National Security, Carl Smith, is chairman of the organizing committee for the 2011 conference.
It is a tremendous challenge with crime and safety in the Caribbean, and we can best address that in a cooperative manner.
Smith says the CBI expands on the relationship the Bahamas already has with the U.S. and the Turks and Caicos Islands through the OPAT operation in its ongoing war on illegal gun, drugs, and human smuggling. Law enforcement, community policing, and maritime issues among the lead topics up for discussion this year.
Where ministers of national security are the principal persons involved. Of course, they're supported by technical persons. And so we will determine which of the priorities we'll move forward on.
At the end of the one-day dialogue, the United States and its Caribbean counterparts will issue a joint statement on those priorities. The first meeting took place in Washington last year, and since then, P.S. Smith says they've made significant cooperative inroads, but there is much more work to do. In Nassau for this year's high-level talks is the U.S. Secretary of Homeland Security, Janet Napolitano.
When you look at the trafficking routes, they're basically from north to south. So they pass through, transverse the Caribbean, and so the demand really is in the north. And it is in the U.S. interest, because that's the ultimate destination, to stop this movement, and of course in our interest. Because we've seen the fallout.
The Caribbean Basin Security Dialogue gets underway at the Atlantis Resort on Thursday morning, where Prime Minister Hubert Ingram is expected to deliver remarks. Reporting for ZNS News, I'm Giovanni Stewart.
As you heard, Prime Minister Ingram will officially open that conference tomorrow at the Atlantis Resort. Well, we can tell you that arriving in the capital just a short time ago was the U.S. Secretary of Homeland Security, Janet Napolitano. Of the high-level meetings will address the group's accomplishments in meeting its security goals of reducing the illicit trafficking, increasing public safety, and of course, security and promoting social justice. The United States has provided more than $45 million in the first year of the partnership. $14.5 million has gone towards strengthening Caribbean maritime borders with communication equipment and training. $10.6 million for law enforcement capacity building and $20 million in crime prevention programs that focus on providing social and economic opportunities to at-risk youth. Beginning tomorrow at the Atlantis Resort, the security leaders from the Caribbean and the United States will continue to strengthen their regional security partnership. Well, that incident involving an alleged housebreaking suspect reportedly shot by police in southwestern New Providence this week sheds more light on the police commissioner's request to residents to assist even more in the fight against crime. The commissioner repeated this message during a recent interview with Altavi's Munnings.
Police Commissioner Ellison Greenslade admits that 2011 has been tough. However, the crime fight has made it tougher, as he believes some residents are harboring serious prolific offenders. And with only exactly 52 days left in the year, the police commissioner says it's time that all residents step up to the plate to turn these criminals in.
The people that are robbing, the people that are causing serious harm lives in our homes, they live in our communities. After they commit their crimes, they go right back into those communities. And they find, in many instances, a ready market for their stolen goods and the other wares that they would have taken from hardworking people. We need to be our brothers and sisters keepers, and we need to report these people. I know that's going to be a difficult thing, but we're going to continue to say it.
Commissioner Greenslade urges officers as well as residents to review and follow the commissioner's current police plan to instill trust throughout the force. Meanwhile, as we approach the holiday season, Commissioner Greenslade confirmed to us that more officers have already been deployed on the streets to maintain law and order.
If you're driving the streets and you're committing crime, there's a good chance you're going to be arrested. You're going to be caught. If you're traveling with dope and illegal weapons, there is a very good chance you're going to be caught. If you are in the company of people who commit crime, you're putting yourself in harm's way and jeopardy because officers will stop you. We will be on those streets, and we are going to do our best to ensure that decent citizens of this country can have a good Christmas. If I have to be on the streets as commissioner in my uniform, I will be on those streets. And if I can do it, then I expect my deputy commissioner, my assistant commissioners, and everyone else to do it.
Unfortunately, though, the commissioner disclosed that he had to make some hard decisions regarding some officers who violated the law.
We had 3 discharges from the force, 2 from Grand Bahama and 1 here in New Providence. Fact. It's on the record. But these are not things that I glorify in. But I am satisfied that on behalf of the Bahamian people, I have been decisive and I've done my job in that respect.
Meanwhile, Greenslade and his team encourage other public safety stakeholders to join them in securing the safety of our society during this holiday season. Altaviz Munnings, ZNS News.
Well, industrial unrest could be brewing. The Bahamas Public Services Union threatening a mass strike should the government not commence negotiations for a new industrial agreement. It's the country's largest union with thousands of members. And today, BPSU President John Pinder was clear in the steps they will take to bring resolution to what he says are issues that have been outstanding for far too long. We get the story from Clint Watson.
At a time when the country is beginning to slowly bounce back, it could cripple the economy once again. But President of the Bahamas Public Services Union, John Pinder, is adamant that if they're not taken seriously by the government, they will resort to the tactics they've had to use in the past to get what's overdue to their members.
If the government refuses to come to the table, then we will ask for a strike vote to be taken. And we'll have to bring industrial action against them to force them to the table for the general public service industrial agreement to commence. We still have not been given a date yet as to when the government will pay the increments owed to the persons, the lump sum payment owed to them.
Pinder says civil servants are hurting. In fact, his union has had to step in and assist members with paying utility bills.
If you've seen the amount of loans we had to give over the last 6 weeks for persons whose electricity's supply was disruptive and disconnected, our members are hurting financially, and the government has to at least give them what they're entitled to. So we would hate to have to do it, but I think it reached a point now where we have to do what we have to do to get the kind of results we're looking for.
The industrial agreement for civil servants expired a year ago. The union submitted its counter-proposal, but has heard nothing further from the government, although negotiations were supposed to have started after the budget debate.
But it appears though the managers or the government is not coming on board with trying to do business in a different way. We hate to have to disrupt services. We believe that we ought to be able, through the social dialogue, iron out issues so don't reach to the point where industrial actions has to be taken to get anything resolved.
But talks of industrial unrest could come in a few weeks for the airport authority as they prepare for the busy Thanksgiving weekend travel. It appears members there aren't getting any resolution and outstanding increments paid to them.
I certainly we're not satisfied with the management there, especially at the human resource area. So that is not resolved in a timely fashion. You know, you can expect some actions coming from there very soon.
The same issues are also popping up in other departments like the Public Hospitals Authority, where the new shift system is reportedly not working, and staffers say they're simply not getting enough rest between shifts. Pinder says it's just simply too much issues in too many departments.
If the government feels as though they're taking our kindness or weakness, well, we can for sure otherwise.
Now, a lot will be hinging on that meeting with the Prime Minister that's set to take place sometime between now and the 14th. Should that not happen, then according to Pinder, they move now to the next step. Clint Watson, ZNS News.
Additionally, Pinder says the government is hindering the advancement of qualified civil servants by rehiring retired supervisors.
Places are being asked to stay on for long lengths of time. Even when they retire, sometimes they come back in very senior positions. It causes those persons at the bottom not to be able to move up. Once the top move and somebody is promoted to the top position, then it has a chain reaction, a domino effect. So positions are filled all the way up to the top. And sometimes this could affect and impact as much as 15 persons. And so we're asking the government to review their decisions on continuously allowing persons who have meet the mandatory age to come back into public service in top positions. There was a policy in the past that once you retire from the public service, if you come back at least 2 ranks below that which you retired at. That's not happening.
Now, late this afternoon, we caught up with the Minister of State for Finance and the Public Service, Zhivargo Lang. Lang says he's shocked and surprised by threats of a strike by the BPSU leader. In fact, he says these threats are coming out of left field.
I'm not aware that he is threatened a mass strike. It'd be wonderful to find out what the basis of such a threat would be. But, you know, Mr. Pinder knows who the head of government is, and he knows who the ministers responsible for the public service are. And if there are issues which he would like to have addressed, I would have thought he could very sensibly be able to communicate that to us. And
Lang says with the country under its pressing financial situation, this is not the time for those actions or threats.
This country is seeking to rebound from a very difficult economic recession, one that has impacted the world. And, you know, those of us who love it, who care about its safety and its stability, who care about its economic progress, we will act responsibly to ensure that that happens.
Now, shifting gears, U.S. travelers make up about 90% of the guests staying at the Atlantis Resort. Canadians come in at a close second. But to fully promote the Atlantis vacation experience worldwide, Curzon officials are looking at other markets. Altavi's Munnings has a look.
Right now, there are about 70 Atlantis associates here in the Bahamas and in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, that can either speak basic or a little conversational Spanish. With the inauguration of Copa Airlines from Panama, Curzon International's managing director, George Morcantonis, believes bilingual employees are essential to their operation.
We have Spanish lessons going on property that associates can volunteer to take. We realize that that can be a 1 or 2 year process to get basic conversational Spanish. We are looking at wage rates, perhaps to reward people who are able to speak a second language, because that gives one an incentive to get the basic conversation.
Tourism officials have informed Atlantis executives that one of the challenges Copa Airline passengers experience is communication from a language barrier.
We have somebody right now who is looking at all